What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916, and you're tuned into another dope interview by Fresh Out. But this interview is different. This is not an ex-felon. This is a retired Navy man who served our country, and he's got some good advice, man, and a great story to share with you guys who are in the streets. That you have another option, man. You know, he could have easily been in the streets, but he played the long game instead of the short game. So, Bernard, man, let's get into it, man. Tell the people a little bit about your background. You know, where you grew up, where you're from. You know, what it was like during your childhood.
Okay, so we start off. My mother is Lorraine Ship. My father was born Bernard Wade. My name is Bernard Humbles. So, real quick before I get into my dad, my mom's last name is Ship. Does that name ring a bell?
Ship?
S-H-I-P-P. So during the OJ case, there was a cop that had testified against OJ. He was a cop. He was one of the ones that arrested OJ during another incident with him and his wife. So he was Ron Ship. He's related to my mom.
I remember Ron Ship.
He's related to my mom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my dad's born Bernard Wade.
Okay.
He changed his name later in life to Bernard Humbles.
Oh.
before he had me.
Wow. Okay.
So my dad was married, 5 kids, 2 with my mom, and 1 with my younger sister. She's half white, Teresa. So growing up, my mom did not want to move to Aliquippa growing up. We lived in Hopewell. We stayed in the house my grandfather built until he passed, which was about second grade. So then we moved to Ambridge just for 1 year, and then she pretty much had no choice, because of money. We moved to Aliquippa. So growing up,
what state is that?
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Pennsylvania. So growing up, I was when I get to Aliquippa. So when I started out these other schools, I played soccer, baseball, what was considered white sports. So they had none of that at Aliquippa. So I wasn't playing those sports growing up. So I just would hang out on my block. There was this other guy on my block I used to hang out with. But then something happened. His dad accused me of something. And that ended that relationship. So that's when I found basketball at that point. So I started, going to the court. I'll bring that guy's his story later. And that lady that I worked with, the supervisor, come to find out it was family. But I started playing basketball, getting into basketball. There was a guy in our neighborhood, Myron Walker. He was an All-American. He took a liking to me, showed me, different aspects of basketball. I was able to, hold on to some of it. I'm not athletic as him, but it helped me to be a pretty good player. And, to this day, I appreciate what he did. That one thing I did notice, I never saw him on the corner. He was all about his sports. But another thing, me growing up, my mom kept me in church from Sunday to Sunday, twice on Sunday, pretty much every day of the week. That's how she rolled. So, which was interesting because she didn't grow up like that. My mom grew up in a single parent father. My grandfather was a single parent because his wife died. So her growing up in that, he did things differently. He punished the oldest. My mom was the youngest, so if she did something wrong, the oldest got punished. So she never experienced, any of that. So, but me growing up, I guess since I was a boy in single parent home, she didn't want to lose me to the streets. There was a time she came up to the corner. I was out past my curfew with a belt in her hand. Yeah, she was strict. She was strict. But in our neighborhood, Miss Jessie Bo Walker, I would say there's no other lady like this. You don't meet people like this anymore. She was all about our community. I don't know if she worked for the school district or volunteered, but she would be in school. She heard about you acting up. She would talk to you about it. A couple of times she talked to me. She never said anything to my mom, but she was all about the community. I think she was on the council, school council and stuff like that. She did a lot. She worked with the free lunch program. There was times, when she would give me a little extra, when I come to the free lunch. Yeah, she was a good woman, man. She loved Aliquippa. She did a lot. So those, my mom, Jessie Bell. There's another lady, Mrs. Jeter. I even asked my mom, how did y'all connect? Because, at first I thought Mrs. Jeter was sort of like an aunt, like a family member, because her and my mom were very fair-skinned. So she was really close until she passed, like, with the family. They, like I said, she even told me there was a time, like, when my mom was going to court with my dad, she was there. Like, she would always, like, even when I was in the military, would call me, check on me, see how I was doing. And the connection we had was when I was little, it was before my grandfather died. I would have this dream, and I would wake up not being able to breathe, because it's like I wake up like gasping for air, and like my mom was like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "It's because of this dream." Like in this dream, I haven't told many people this, but in this dream, I would come home from work, come through the garage, and right off the garage, the kitchen, there would be two men in the kitchen. They'd be like, "All right, Bernard," and they would head out. While I'm heading down this corridor, there would be this door. Under the doors would be a bright light. So every time I would open this door, go pull these blinds down, and on top of the blinds was a crucifix. On my way walking to the to pull these blinds down, the floor started to sink on me, and it was like I was like drowning. So I would wake up in the middle of the night, not being able to breathe, which, like as a kid, I didn't know what was going on. So I talked to my mom. She was like, "I don't know what to tell you." So she talked to Mrs. Jeter. Miss Jeter's in the church. So Miss Jeter, prayed about it. Then she came back to me. She said, "The two people in the dream are your guardian angels. That room is a part of your life that you're gonna have to fight, or it's gonna kill you." So, as a kid, like, you don't know what to think about that, right? So I'm not saying I have dreams or anything but two dreams that involved Mrs. Jeter. So the second one was my mom told me I was stationed in D.C. like, she's not doing well, she's gonna pass. So why don't you come to the funeral? And I'm like, I don't like funerals. So I'm just like, So after she told me that, like, yeah, she's gonna pass, I had this dream that we were at this church, and there's these doors in the back, and you can view in. I was staring in there, seeing myself on crutches, talking to this girl that I grew up with. That Saturday before the funeral, I blew my knee out. All the way to that point, I told my wife I was not going to that funeral. I blew my knee out that Saturday. And we only had one car at the time, so about the time my wife got to me, I was already at the hospital. First thing I said to her, I was like, I got to go to this funeral now. Because I saw myself on crutches in this dream at her funeral. But I didn't take my crutches to the funeral. But that was like...
So Miss Jeter must have been like your guardian angel, man.
She, like I said, there was a time she called when I was stationed in California. I was about to get into some devilment. And I just asked that person, I'll see you another time. You know what I mean? But yeah, she was a good woman, man. But like growing up, as far as like sports, I just went heavy into the sports, like playing basketball to the best of my ability, and it helped me out. But the guy that I told you about, that his father accused me of something, and it wasn't even like stealing something, it was about moving something. So that guy, he came to school one day late, because he was fair-skinned, so he came to school with a Nike print on his face. The story he gave, his brother stepped on his face. And that's the story he kept to. So when I was working at Andrews, remember I told you I worked my supervisor out of her position? I was mentioning that to somebody. She was like, B, hold up. Is this the guy you talking about? Pulled a picture of him. I'm like, yeah. It's like, that's my cousin.
Damn.
And I'm like, for real? She's like, it's my first cousin. I was like, well, this is the story he said. He's like, it was his father all along. The father was the one abusing him.
Damn.
Come to find out. I didn't have a clue. She think he was crazy or something like that. But as things go on, I'm playing basketball. I'm okay. Started off with sixth grade. Pretty good team. But as we got older, about time our sophomore year, we started to put things together. We were a pretty good team. Went undefeated. They went undefeated. I think ninth grade we were undefeated. I think our sophomore year we went undefeated too. Sophomore year, Ty Law, who played for the Patriots, was a senior. He played basketball as well as part of playing football. Who else? So some of the people that's from where I'm from, we got Mike Ditka, Tony Dorsett, Ty Law, Sean Gilbert, Darrell Revis, and Jonathan Baldwin. All those guys are first-round draft picks from this little town. So
it's an athletic town then.
yeah, definitely. It's a lot of talent to come out of here. Pistol Pete Maravich was born in Aliquippo. Yeah, before they moved. So I played basketball. My whole thing, like one reason why I did play, I just wanted to belong and be a part of something. Because, a lot of the families that's in Aliquippo, everybody's connected, everybody's related, and I was like an outsider for the most part. So, I started growing, and getting better, and things changed. I went to a private school for 2 years, and I think that's what helped me hone in a lot of what Quarter taught me. Because, in private school, it's more about fundamentals than more just athletic. So I was able to, hone in on the fundamentals. Because there was a lot of guys who were more athletic than me. And then I was coachable. You got some people who are good players, but they're not coachable. But so my senior year, we expected to win the states. That was our expectation, that we were going to win the states. Because Quarter, he graduated '89, they won the states. So, and my boy Chooch, our point guard, that was his uncle. So that was our main thing. We were going to win the states. We even took a picture at the beginning of the year with their state plaque. Because we felt as though we would win it. No, we did. We won it. But for most people, it was gratifying, to play sports and get out there, and do something that's what you wanted to do. But for me, I guess it was like the end. It was kind of depressing because I would never play with these guys again. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though we were all eating, everybody rejoicing, it was just like, man, it's over with. We did it. That was cool, but it's over with. So.
Were you talked to any scouts or anything and nothing like that? College, you never thought?
There was a scout or two, but with grades and stuff like that, because I didn't take it serious. That wasn't good. I did go to college. Matter of fact, I did. And I didn't get along with the coach. One game, he tried to put me in with a minute. He's like, Bernard. I was like, I told him, nah.
A minute left to go in the game. Yeah. It's like embarrassing.
Yeah, then another time, one time, he was like, all right, we want this squad out here. We're going to give y'all 6 players and we're going to pressure. I'm like, 6? Man, please. Give us 4. Give me the ball. I'm going to break y'all press every time. And that's exactly what I did. Every time I broke the press. And then he stopped it. He stopped practice. Then another time we had to turn in our paperwork regarding our grades. And I wasn't the only person that didn't turn in my paperwork. And he was like, all right, Bernard, since you haven't turned in your paperwork, go give me 5 miles. I'm like, no, I'm not running. This guy, they didn't turn their paperwork in. You ain't gonna single me out, no. So things wasn't going well. Anyway, so yeah, I'm like, no, you ain't gonna just single me out like that. I ain't the only one. So yeah, I got suspended again. That's Aliquippo coming out. But from there, I left college for 2 years. Like I said, I wasn't doing nothing with my life. Nothing. Like I said, I watched Jenny Jones that one day. It was like, talked to my sister. She was like, I was talking to the recruiter and this and that. And I'm like, all right, let me give this a chance, man. See what happens. And it changed my life, man. And joining the process with recruiting, a lot of people say that recruiters lie. I didn't have that experience. My recruiter straight up told me, like I mentioned this earlier, I did 20 years, never been on a ship, and I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. So a lot of people don't notice the Navy has 3 different components. You have the active duty component, you have the FTS component, that's the, what's that? I can't remember right now, but then you have the reserve component. So I was at FTS. So FTS is like, in between. But what the recruiter told me, he's like, if you do the FTS, you can get stationed back here in Pittsburgh. And it's going to be, your chances of going to sea will be limited. But you'll get the retirement at 20, just like the active duty person will. I was like, sign me up. Because that's the first thing I wanted. I wanted to get stationed back home, but looking back in retrospect, it would have been the worst thing that happened to me if I would have got stationed back home right after boot camp, stuff like that. So it totally worked out that I was, in that program. And then, you go to boot camp. Boot camp was kind of crazy because, like, everything is cool until you get off that van at boot camp. Like, everybody's nice at you at MEPS. Quick story, when we were at MEPS, I don't know if you remember Pat on Saturday Night Live. You couldn't tell if she was a man or a woman.
Oh, yeah.
There was this individual. The whole day, I'm just like, I could not tell, right? I couldn't tell. So when we were getting ready to swear in, they told this one, they told everybody, guys, take your earrings out. One guy refused. It's like, why are you refusing to take your earring out? He's like, if I have to take my earring out, he needs to take his earring out. They didn't even turn around. It's he is a she. So that whole day I was trying to figure out if that was a man or a woman. Yeah. I found out at that point it was a woman. But so like I said, everybody at boot camp is nice. I mean at MEPS. Once we fly to Great Lakes. You get off the van. Once you get off the van at Great Lakes, totally different. And this is where I messed up. I had real long hair. I should have cut it before I got there. Because they kind of made, take that hair out, like hair all over the place, and this and that. They talk, all in your face, yelling at you and stuff like that. So eventually, like, what was it? And the next day or two, yeah, eventually they cut it. But so the first night there, it's crazy. So you're getting people coming in at all times. You don't know nobody. People in there all scared. You can hear people like scared, like people farting and doing stuff. People laughing at that. Shut up, quiet before we get in trouble. Everybody, you shut up. Like
talking shit.
Yeah. So the first week in boot camp doesn't even count. It's called they call it your P days. That's when you're doing your paperwork and everything. Bank account, stuff like that, trying to figure out how things go. So as far as that P days, doesn't really matter. So one of the things that did, like when we were we were the last unit to use the M16, to shoot with the M16. So on the gun range, they had an indoor gun range, and this kind of, at the time, had me shook. We had one dude go in there. They tell you don't cross, don't step over the line, don't touch the line. If your magazine drop, you don't reach over the line. If you drop it, there's going to be somebody right there, you talk to them. We sitting out there in the bleachers, this guy, next thing you know, door opens, boom, they push him out, throwing stuff out, get out of here. He reached over the line. So here's one of the things when I look back when we were on the range, the whole time when you're shooting, somebody's yelling at you, this guy's yelling at you, and you just got to concentrate on shooting. So that's the first time I ever, fired a weapon, so I didn't do well at all. So in boot camp, I figured out there's a lot of people that, a lot of brothers that don't know how to swim.
Yeah, I never took swimming.
So There was a guy, I was going to do this. We had this little plan. I was going to take a swim test for him. But something happened where I didn't have to take it for him, and they wound up pushing him along. But this brother fell like 2-3 times, failed the swim test. One time they almost let him drown just to see, like, he was from like New York. He said he'd never been in a pool in his life. Yep. Then we had another guy, big dude, he's from Arkansas, big brother, walking around. He's like, it's because I only got 2% body fat. I can sink. that was his excuse why he couldn't swim. He's like, yeah, he was a big dude. Man. He was a big
on
dude.
swole?
Yeah, he was on swole. Yeah. So we would have we would have inspections. Maybe we'd go around. So you get the guy talking to the individual, saying certain things. Like the guy I seen on swole. What did you do before you joined the military? So I was a male dancer. Petty officer. I don't believe you. What was your name? I forget the name he said. No, it was funny. Then we had this other guy, I can't remember his name, but he had a gold too. He was from the South. He was like, what's that on your gold too, brother? He's like, oh, it's a Playboy. It's a Playboy bunny. He's like, why you got a Playboy bunny on your too? He's like, I do what I got to do to get the females petty officer. And he said he like the southern slang. Like, that made it even funnier, man. Oh. That's what's crazy, man.
Oh, man.
So, real quick, when I get to Point Magoo, well, let me see. A school was in Mississippi. Meridian, Mississippi. Man, that place is like backdoor. But I did what, 2 months there?
They're like back in time?
Yeah, 2 months there and I'm out. But when I get to Point Magoo, the first time, bring you back up to speed, when we went to Puerto Rico, this old white guy, I remember his name is Collins, last name. He was from Iowa. He talked real slow. So he came to me one day, Humbles, I know you got to rent a car. Like, yeah? He said, well, what are you doing? I'm like, well, after work, I'm going to hit this gym up, this and that. After that, nothing. He's like, would you mind taking me to the casino? I'm like, I don't know how to get there. He's like, I know. Okay. That whole week, I'm taking him to the casino every night. One night there, I came, I would just, maybe take out $40 and go, hit the slots. One time I went to talk to him. I'm like, yo, what's going on, man? He's like, I'm up $1,300 right now. By the time we left, he's down $1,500. So the next week, our Master Chief came and was like, Humbles. I'm like, what's up? He was like, have you been taking Collins to that casino? I'm like, yeah. He's a compulsive gambler, man. He is not to be in the casino. I'm like, someone told me, I had no clue the man had a problem. He's like, yeah, he got banned when we were in Japan. I had no clue this guy had a gambling problem. I thought, he just wanted
helping
to go
him out, huh?
Yeah, it was getting me out, So I was gonna find this man a gambling addiction.
Oh man.
But it cast the characters, man. Like my time in the Navy, I look back, it was a good time, man. 20 years goes by fast in the Navy.
Do you think that the military saved a lot of these guys? I mean, like you said, you got guys, male dancers, street hustlers, dudes who went into the military and kind of gave them an option, a way out.
I think it gave some people a way option, but sometimes some people don't choose to change. The option is there. Some people still doing dumb stuff. Like one time I had a guy come to me, like we were in this building where he had all these different commands connected. Guy come to me, was like, can you pee in this balloon for me? I'm like, why? He's like, I was smoking, we having a pee test today. I'm like, nah, man, that ain't my problem, man. Yeah, you still get people doing dumb stuff.
Yeah, still up in there doing the same stuff they were doing before. Huh?
Yeah, they don't quit. Sometimes some people would do it they would do that to get kicked out. That's not the way you want to get kicked out, because that can mess you up as far as
dishonorable,
benefits.
right?
Yeah, yep. We had one guy who he popped positive, so he was in process of getting kicked out. Then his number came up again, popped again, so he lost everything. Oh. He was gonna still have his benefit, like GI Bill and stuff. But when he popped that second time, they stripped him of everything. He had nothing. So like even at that point, the first time when he was getting separated, they were going to pay for his move and everything. But when that second pop hit, he had to move his own stuff, like pay for everything himself. Yeah, you lose everything. I seen it happen. One guy tried to say, "Oh, I was over my uncle's house and I grabbed I grabbed the wrong thing." They don't want to hear that. If it's in your system, it's a wrap.
It's in your system.
Yeah, even if it was an accident. So like people say you can get from contact. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
The reason why is when I was stationed in California, we used to go to this club Jamaica Gold in LA, and you could smell the weed from in the line. You could smell it outside. So think about it, I'm in 2 hours. I'm up in this club. And there's several times I had to take a test. I never popped from contact. I'm just like I've never experienced. Like I said, I was in that club 2-3 hours. But I didn't pop.
When you look at like a lot of the young brothers out there today that are just like wilding out and they're not really like athletically inclined and they're more into like the weed and the video games and kind of hanging out and just not really doing nothing. Do you think that at least going into the military, if it was just only for a year or two, would give them a sense of self and discipline?
Because it definitely would change. It would definitely change your outlook because you'd be exposed to so much more than just dilapidated buildings. People hanging on the corner. You would meet people that look just like you, that are doing something. Like my first duty station, I get there. My chief is a black guy. I didn't know there was such thing as a black chief. Like, and the first thing he did was call your mom. In my life, there's always been, for some reason, there's always been somebody planted that kind of looked out for me. Like when I got stationed in D.C., there was this guy, Mr. Barry, he's a retired Navy chief as well. He took me and my wife under his wing, him and his wife, helped us with help my wife do resumes and stuff, worked on her resume and stuff like that. And everything worked out. Like for some reason, there's been people planted, and that could probably happen for anybody, even somebody planted along the way in your life. That happened for me.
That was a good point too, because you said that after you enlisted, the guy told you can come back to Pittsburgh, but after you left, it's like you've seen the world so much differently. You didn't really want to go back. It's like when I moved from Sacramento, not to take nothing away from Sacramento, but I don't want to go back there. I want to see other places now. I want to grow, and you kind of see how some people have stayed stagnant, and then when you see that, it's like, I don't want to be still talking about stuff in high school. I'm trying to create new memories.
Yes.
Definitely. So I know it opened you up because you, like I said, having, interacted with people from, you said working in Iraq, from, Switzerland, France, Spain, all these different cultures. You see how differently everything is around the world.
Definitely. Yeah, it's an eye opener. Just even dealing with white people who you have this, like growing up, there was this mindset like they're all bad, but then you meet these people and it's like they're not like that. Yeah. I mean, some of them really do have your best interests at heart, and it's like, it's like, man,
you don't demonize everybody. I know, like even when I was in prison, dudes like, man, why you talking to that Mexican dude, or dude, what that white guy say to you? I'm like, dude, we were talking about skateboarding. We were talking about, bodybuilding. He was asking me about some nutrition tips, and it's such because prison is such a racial thing, and I know, society now, how they're doing it, they want to make it all racial, but once you get out and you start talking to other people, I remember, a guy said, Big Herc, you ever slept with a white girl? I'm like, yeah. You ever slept with a Mexican girl? I'm like, yeah. What was it like? What that joint like? He wouldn't mean the joint like. She got the same thing as the black girl got. It was good. You know what I'm saying? But like your program, it's like, dude, you haven't even talked outside your culture. Yep. So how can you start judging people and making assumptions? And then like you said, you start talking to other people, and then even white people or Asian people that maybe had a stigma about black people realize not all black people are the same, because everybody's different. You can't categorize everybody, and the military teaches you that. Because I'm growing up on military bases, I had a Filipino friend. We go to their house, we have lumpia and roasted pig sometime when they had their luau's, or my Tongan friends. I go to my white friends, they barbecue, and we had pancakes. You know what I mean? To stay the night at his house. Then I had my Mexican friend. I remember eating, having Mexican food. And one time they were eating something, they started laughing. And I'm like, what is so funny? Oh, that's cow brains. I'm like, oh, man, this stuff. But it was like they had it in some stuff. They're like, eat that. Try this, Mom. Give him some of that. So it's like, we'd hang out, and so it's like you get culture. So I didn't really know racism on base. I didn't really see that. Remember some people but for most part, everybody kind of got along. Kids played together, and it was pretty diverse, Mm-hmm. And I know, from your experience, I mean, did that open your mind up to diversity when you started getting out like that?
Definitely. The first guy I met when I was at Point Magoo was he was a Mexican guy. His name was Pac-Man. He was part of, he lived in Colonia. He was part of like the La Gente Car Club. I would go out to his house, hang out with him. His mother didn't speak English at all, but she was like, mi casa, su casa, and he told me what that meant. So I had never met a Mexican person in my life until, joining the military. And we were like best friends. Cool guy. What's crazy is he wound up joining the military a couple years later. Oh, wow. I ran into him. I didn't, because at the time when I met him, he was a fat dude. Yeah. I met him, this little skinny dude. He's like, Bernard. I'm like, who are you, man? He says, me, Pac-Man. skinny rip guy. I'm like, he's like, yeah, I'm about to join the army. I'm like, that's what's up, man.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it's definitely eye-opening. And like, I just, I tell a lot of youngsters, if you don't have it to be disciplined enough to maybe take a trade, or, you want to go to college or something, man, join the military, man. At least it'll give you an opportunity to get out of your environment and to maybe see other opportunities. What else would you say as far as was one of the benefits of having gone into the military, looking back now, that most impacted you?
I would say for the most part, on the back end, like as far as my family now, they changed the rules as far as the GI Bill to where you could transfer it to your kids. So I transferred 2 years of my GI Bill to my daughter. She wound up getting a $30,000 scholarship. So she pretty much had, she went to college, she graduated debt-free. She's going to grad school now. It's going to be, she's going to have to take care of herself. But that first leg, helped her out. Yeah. And like right now, my son has 3 years of my GI Bill sitting there waiting. So when he goes to college, wow, it's just money sitting there waiting for him. So I would say that portion, I look at it now because, me being a married man now with kids, that's where my focus is at now. And it's helped my family, like I said, lower the cost of college. Me being retiree, the fact that she went to North Carolina A&T, we got in-school, we got in-state price instead of out-of-state, even though we live in Maryland, because of me being, retiree.
See, that's a great benefit, like a lot of people don't think about, because like when you think about the short game, it's all about now, hanging out with the homies. You don't want to leave your environment. You're cool, but even myself, I remember in junior college, I had the opportunity. It had came up the study abroad, and I'm thinking, man, I didn't really think about it at the time, but I'm like, dude, what would it have been like to go study in Paris? To stay with some family over there, learn the culture, get a year abroad of, college education and come back. I didn't think about that, man. And it's like, damn, man, I wish I would have had somebody telling me, man, take advantage of that. Go do that, And so hindsight's 50-50, man. But I think that's definitely a great option for our young people, especially in today's state where there's nothing you're not missing out on anything when you leave. You come back and the same people are doing the same shit, most of them in worse condition than when you left. And it's like, dude, get out, see something different, man. Is there anything else that you would want to share about your military experience that you would want these youngsters to know about, or that they can maybe reflect on?
Definitely. It can get you out of your environment and expose you to a whole nother world, and you could meet people who you never thought you would meet. Like I had a chance to meet Bokeem Woodbine, MC8, Dub C, CJ Madman, like all these rappers, superstars. I'm this little guy from, Aliquippa, but yet I'm over here on the West Coast meeting all these different people. It will open up a lot to your life. And another thing, like now, you know, I get a retirement, a disability check, and I got a job, which with a salary. So all that is stacking. So I guess the long ball sometimes does work out.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you know, you got people still trying to, you know, out here struggling, man, who never really thought about that. And you get out, you do 10, 20 years in prison for some old bank robbery or some whatever bullshit case, and you get out and you have nothing, you know, and you got to try to look for somebody to, you know, help take care of you or figure something out, man, and it's depressing. So, you know, thinking the long game, man, I mean, the military is a great option for, you know, somebody who doesn't have anything to fall back on. And you're a prime example of how you turn that around to a benefit, man, and you're still doing well for yourself. So,
Definitely.
you know, I appreciate you coming on the channel, sharing that, man, and hopefully we can get more of you military guys out there to tell your story, because you guys are an honor to have served our country and changed your lives, and that's what we're all about over here on Fresh Out. Thank you, Bernard. Appreciate you, man. Big Herc 916, Fresh Out.
Post office bound.
No joke, like a half an hour. Why are you doing that?
Document my last couple of days and post office bound. Shannon. She's the one who's in the first app from the Aussies.
I'm Rita Foley. Tonight's Republican presidential
The one who helps us
debate
when I get
will
that
focus
post
on
office.
national security.
Yeah, Shannon Evans.
For some elbows to be thrown.
This will not be like an evening in paradise for me. Do we agree?
Frontrunner Donald Trump sounds ready to rumble after saying Muslims should be banned from entering this country.
That guy says whatever he wants.
In the debate town of Las Vegas.
Donald Trump and Ted Cruz will be standing next to each other at tonight's fifth GOP debate. It's been an easygoing relationship until recently, when audio obtained by the New York Times appeared to show Cruz questioning Trump's judgment. That prompted Trump to fire back and call Cruz a bit of a maniac. His broad manner prevents him from accomplishing anything.
If someone questions someone, he calls them a maniac.
Than Cruz during a rally last night.
And it works for him. And it works for him. All right, we're at the post office, Puerto Rican National Guard. Horrible process they have. You guys get to see it. Yeah, it's gone. Torres right here, this guy doesn't go to the gym at all. Let's see those muscles, Torres. No muscles, see no muscles. Oh, here's Javi. He's doing nothing as usual. He's doing nothing as usual.
Hey, Bert, ¿qué pasa? me quiera remember you.
Yeah.
Mira.
Here's the other Torres. She gets on my
Torres
nerves.
Alice?
Gets on my nerves. Yeah, she gets on my nerves.
Mira, aquí, we are working hard here, okay?
Yeah,
for
right.
you.
Whatever, Javi. Ooh, we always get a lot of mail.
What is that?
Mira,
Oh, you broke it. I filmed you now it's broke. Look, the camera broke.
Where is Leah? Leah? Leah. Leah. When I saw your eyes, it looks like in the morning when the
You okay?
when the sun uprise in the morning.
You need some help?
Pasarás por mi vida sin saber que pasaste. Pasarás en silencio por mi amor. Fingiré una lágrima del dolor de quererte y jamás lo sabrás.
Now it's time to serenade her with a song.
Okay.
Is this pretty heavy? Oh, this is not even heavy. This is so light.
Leah. Leah, I love you. I love you for my bottom, oh my heart. Feliz Navidad.
Where you want this at?
Navidad.
Right over there, please.
Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad.
Torres, he doesn't work out. Where's my box at?
Stop walking around with a crusty butt, smelly ball sack, and a funky hoo-ha. Big Herc said, wash that ass. Pick you up a t-shirt at freshoutseries.com.